All right, for starters, what shape are bubbles? You know, I rarely see a actual circle bubble coming up out of water, so I'm probably not going to make a lot of those. I think that they would probably be kind of stretched out because they're getting pulled up, you know, for the same reason that gravity pulls drops down. It's pushing the air up, so I think it would get stretched. So I'm going to put some stretchy shapes here. Now, to start with, I'm just establishing the shape, so I'm just going to do white outlines. That's not going to be the finish, but I just want to decide where to put them, and I want to be confident that I like the look of the shapes of them, you know. I think with bubbles, the shape matters a lot, whereas some things just get the color right and you're good to go. But what if there's one kind of hitting this guy and coming up that way? Yeah, that's pretty fun. This will be cool. I'm going to put the bubbles coming up, hitting the bottom of this rock. Put a few under here. So these white lines are just representing everywhere that I have an edge bending away from my eyes. So bubbles are going to be like windows. If the wall of the bubble is like this to my vision, then I'm going to see whatever's behind it. But if it's like this, then I'm going to see reflection of the surroundings on those edges that are at that angle to my vision. So that's why it's important for me to decide right now what are the angles of these bubbles. This is just sketching where they're going to be right now. Bubbles are very reflective. So rather than thinking of a bubble as empty space, let's just flip-flop the thinking that we have when you have a drop of water in the air. Well, now we have a drop of air in the water. Both of them are very similar in the reflective nature. So this is just a big reflective ball thing floating up, and just like water gets broken up by the air as it's falling, air gets broken up by the water as it's rising. It's almost the exact same thing in reverse. If I flip this picture upside down, it'd be like these were falling like water drops. So with that in mind, I'm going to start putting the reflection in. Now this is very simple. It can seem complicated, but it's not. All I'm going to do is put the colors of the objects that the edge is facing on that edge. So anywhere that I've established that I have an edge that's turning away from my eyes toward some part of this picture. So for instance, this side of this part of this big bubble that looks like a mushroom, maybe there's an edge right here facing toward these plants or whatever's done here. I'll put a little bit of red on it there. I'll put a little bit of maybe the seafloor color, kind of a tan. Here I'll put the coral color up here. I'll put blue. I'll put all the colors of the surroundings on the bubble. And then I'll make sure that I put a very bright highlight on that top area where it's reflecting this bright sun. For starters, I'll make a dark blue. And that'll represent everything dark in my scene. All of that dark water. So I'll mix blue and black and a little bit of white, because I don't have that. You can see all my picture is lighter than that. So I'll try to make it a similar color. See. Now any edges that seem like they're facing, and this is approximate, you know, I don't have to do math to figure this out. Any edges that seem like they would be facing those dark colors, those are the ones I'm going to hit with this dark blue color. And I can exaggerate it a little bit and make it even darker than what the surroundings are, just to make my bubbles stand out. And if I can, I don't want to make these edges just have a sharp edge. I want to make them fade into the middle of the bubble if it's possible. So I'll put this edge on and then maybe just use my finger. That's the easiest right now. Okay, how about some of that red? So I have the red of this coral right here, and I'm just going to put that right on this edge. That's nice contrast too. That bright red mixed with the dark blue, that's cool. Now, I need some different colors in here because there's a lot more colors in in the surroundings. Okay, some blue for all of this strange blue coral that I put in there. Little strips of that because that's in very small amounts. Put the purple in there. So you getting the right color in there, just all of a sudden that bubble it's right at home. It's right where it belongs. I'm going to get some black and add some very dark edges. It's just putting that appropriate reflection color in there. Now the next color I'm going to add to these bubbles is the background on each bubble. So on this one it would be this green that's right here. I'm going to add to the very edge. All it is the first color that is on the edge of that bubble. So here it would be this dark grayish green, here it would be this dark blue. And I'm just going to put it as a very thin strip around the border. Whatever color it's touching, I just make a slightly darker version of that color and just make a very thin strip along that edge. That's the way the background appears on the edge of that bubble. So these, I'm just going to make this greenish gray, but I'm going to try to make it enough darker that you can still see it. It's just a mirror reflection of these colors in the background, but if I make it the exact same color, you're not even going to see it. Now I have my kind of greenish gray here. I'll go a little bit lighter on these. So this is the reflection of this color right next to it that it's touching, but since it's a reflection, it's just very slightly darker. And I can exaggerate it a little bit, make it darker just for the sake of being more visible. Just because that's real easy for me to see while I'm establishing the shape of my bubbles. You can see if I started right out with these background colors, it'd be a very tedious process to try to map out where all my bubbles are with these colors that are so similar. I mean, it's hard enough to see these things. So I wait until I've got the shape established to do all these ridiculously tedious details. You know, essentially what these bubbles are is a mirror image that's distorted of the entire painting. And I'm not going to paint the entire painting on the edge of each one of these bubbles. So choose wisely what colors you want to put on the edge. I just choose the most obvious ones that seem like very obvious and focal points of the picture. Get those colors and the viewer will believe the rest. Now to represent that bright surface where I have all of that water turning that greenish color from the sunlight, I'm going to put this is the same color that I used up there on the surface. So I'm cutting off the edge of my rock reflection right here. Okay, and this is just a real scrunched mirror reflection of what's above this bubble. So it's reflecting the bottom of this rock. What's above this rock is that bright surface. So I'm going to put that up here. And I'm going to have a lot of surface visible on this guy down here. So look how far down I'm going to come with this. And then I'll just kind of fog it out here, because you still see through the middle of the bubble. But I'm going to have a lot of surface visible because from this view, I'm looking down at this bubble and the surface is above my head, and so it's going to appear closer to the middle. Remember, it's the colors that are behind the bubble that appear closest to the edge. But the colors that are behind me as I'm looking at this bubble are going to appear closer to the middle of it. So that's why down here, as I'm looking down on it and the surface is above me, I'm going to bring that way closer to the middle. So I just put pure white on there for a nice bright accent. But I'm not going all the way to my edge because that edge is that background color. Let's put more of this, get this greenish color. So here where the bubble divides into two bubbles, I'm making two different reflections, two different images. I don't want a sharp edge right here. The reason I don't want a sharp edge is because this is all the water that's continuous. There is no edge to it. The surface gradually gets darker and darker as it fades down into the dark horizon. And this was my dark watercolor. This is my surface. Those need to blend into each other. Let's grab some of my turquoise color that I used up in there. This level of detail, totally not necessary to make the picture look good. I just like to do it. That's the sun right there. Just a bright spot right there on the top of the bubble. Now I put my bright surface reflection in there, but I still need, even on this top edge, I still need to put my background colors along the very edge of it. So here I've got my green. I already did that on the very edge. The next color is a darker bluer gray, and then an even darker bluer color. So as I get closer to, as I get further in on this little bubble, I'm going to put those colors. These are just a thin little strip because of the distance, you know, but then maybe these bubbles here, maybe they would be closer in. Maybe they would be way in here because they're closer to me. Here. There, we'll just say those are a couple of little bubble reflections. See, there's red bubble, red bubble. I'm making a reflection of the bubble, so that red reflection will be part of this. Same thing here, see? I have this red. Well, that would reflect off the top side of this one, so I might as well put that there. And, you know, two opposing reflective surfaces can go back and forth like that. You know, just like when you hold a mirror up to a mirror, you get a reflection of a reflection of a reflection of a reflection. So, you know, in reality, you could have a whole bunch of images inside of images inside of images on each of these. That is just craziness to even worry about that at all. But, you know, I can do a little bit of it just for giggles. See, so I went this color, this color, this color, and I just skinny lines building in. And so it's just opposite, but then scrunched way down to a little line. So the next colors get brighter and greener, so I'm just going to take this brighter greener color, put it right on that edge. Now what about this big yellow brainy thing that I painted? Where is that going to fit in to the reflection on this? Well, if I just count outward from the bubble, I have my greenish gray reflection right here, and then I move out, and it's the mirror image, so as I move out here, I'm moving in toward the middle of this bubble on the reflection. So the next color is this red, I have that here, so then the next color I might choose to put this purple or blue in there, or I might just skip it because who cares. And then the next one is this yellow. So it's not going to be over on this edge. This yellow color is going to be up here above this red. But it needs to still be somewhere close to the edge because the center of a sphere that is reflective would be reserved for my reflection, the you know, like a mirror. So the closer this is to me, the more it would be in the center. So the center is transparent. We don't see anything in the center of a bubble. So I'm just going to put some of this yellow on that edge right above that red. So now the trick is just getting that color again here. Some of this here. I think I used a little bit of black in that guy. Not that it even needs to be that close. Just anything close will give the idea. So I'll just put it right next. And I'm not worrying about painting this object, you know. I'm just putting a dab of that color. As it gets closer to me, it's getting further away in the reflection, so it's smaller, not bigger. Even though it's bigger here, it's getting further away from the bubble. So it needs to be smaller than this red reflection. put some in this one too. It's fun to put that. These little splashes of color are fun, you know, they just make the painting look all tricked out. There would be one in this guy, maybe right about here. I'm not going to actually paint a miniature dolphin on the bubble, but I mean, just a light gray color will be good. I won't add any blue to it. That way it'll stand out against all those blue colors in there. Okay, dolphin's here. And so, you know, it goes deep watercolor, then dolphin, then more deep watercolor. So somewhere on this edge, maybe like right here. It's a guesstimate. Dolphin, 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 dolphin. Okay. Okay, now I'll show you how to do one more thing before I wrap up this painting. I'm going to make it so that this dolphin is like plunging down into this water and leaving a cloud of those millions of bubbles that just look like an underwater cloud. And that is similar to these in the way that it does reflect, but there's no sharp images on the edges of it or anything. It's more like a soft cloud you'd see in the sky, but underwater. So the way I'm going to do that is first getting the white. And I'm just going to decide where to put it. You know, for me, step one is just sketching something out and deciding. I think that I'm going to make this guy, it's just coming right down in front of the sun. I don't think I want to go right over this nice reflection. I like that because it gives my picture some cool depth. So I'll try to stay off that area. Yeah, that'll be cool. Now this is in perspective, so I want to make it bigger than this dolphin here, so it looks like it's coming forward. Make it coming out this way, because I do like this bright spot I have where the sun is. You know, I don't want to cover that all the way up. You know, that's the sad thing about just deciding as you go to put stuff in. I end up painting over my nice stuff. I don't want to make it like a steady stream. I want to break it up. Make it in like multiple clouds. Make another one here. You know what I think I'll do is I'll just start blending this out right now. Just take this dry brush and just start. I might just keep some of that pure white there. I need to shadow this cloud, and I'm going to shadow it with the colors that are below. But it's really bright because light's blasting through it. So those shadows are not going to be as extremely dark as if it was just one reflective body. So this is millions of them, and so altogether it's pretty light. Similar to the clouds in the sky, they just don't have that dark of shadows because there's a lot of light inside of it. So I'll start throwing some of my blues and greens on there and see what comes out. Blue right there. I've got this little bit of this turquoise color left. Now I think that up in here, where it's real bright behind it, it's okay for it to be a little bit darker than this. Little bit. I don't want it a lot darker than that. than the bright areas, you know? Yeah, that'll be good. Right there, that'll be enough. I want a shadow color that's going to be real light looking when it's down here. A little bit darker than my bright areas. See, and I'm just making these rounded shapes on all of the undersides. Just like I'm making a cloud, you know. See all that white that I put in there? Those little shapes? I kind of left the top edge of them a sharper edge and then blended it down so that it looks like, just like my waves here, it looks like it rounds back. Same kind of strategy there. I want better looking motion to this, like it's kind of swooping this way. This is a nice thing about this acrylic paint. You just wipe off that wet paint. I think the key to this is a very colorful shadow, because it's really not just a shadow, it's a reflection of all the colors down here. I mean, I could even throw in some of these bright colors of the coral down there. Tiny bit. Throw a little bit of yellow in there too. But you wouldn't have any sharp images, you know, if you choose to try to make some colors reflecting. You just want to do the colors. No images. Now I don't really want these to be like so roundy looking. That doesn't really look very natural. You know, a bunch of roundy little bulges. I'll avoid that as much as I can. This is real similar to these waves up here. And the way that the white softly blends down into my shadow color, and then the shadow color more abruptly changes on those bottom edges back to the white again. I'm going to take the white and maybe chop off some of the edge of this. You know, just create some perspective by rounding the top of this. You know, just wash out everything that I don't want with pure white, which will be fine because this is right where the sun's shining. See, I'll start rounding this up like this. Get rid of this guy. Which means I got to get rid of that too. I hate to see a good brush stroke go to waste. Let's take this color on the surface. Where's my other colors? This bright color that I had up in here. So I'll just bend that around, kind of round it up so it doesn't look as much like unnatural cutoff at the top. I'll get my, what I was calling my shadow color, which is just this blue-green mix with white. Yeah, just like that. I'm going to make some bubble trails coming all the way down to this little Dolphy's tail. You know, we're going to make it going all the way. He goes down and up again. Trying to use just the corner of this brush to make my little dab patterns as round as possible. so that it doesn't look like I have a bunch of little triangles, you know, like a real unnatural looking shape. Okay, then let's go to the white and do the same thing. I might get out a littler brush. If I want to try to just make a few. Sometimes if you just make a few bubbles, individual bubbles, just a few in the midst of a texture can give the illusion of that there's millions of them. But when I do this, I have to rotate my hand so that I don't get like a duplicate pattern. You know, the real tiny bubbles can stay suspended and float around in the water for a long time. So the lower they are, the smaller they are. Doing more of this pure bright white. I'm just kind of having fun now experimenting with the shape of this. The shape of that cloud coming down. You can see I'm just fiddling with this until I like the shape of the cloud. But it's that simple. Just, you know, you just do puffy shapes, you do this shadow that is not just a gray, but it's the colors that are down here in the water. And the darkness of it really matters. I make sure that it's lighter than this deep water so that it looks bright and glowy when I get down here. But I make sure it's slightly darker than my bright colors so that it looks like it has body and a shadow to it. I'm going to wrap this picture up now.